The Ukrainians woke up to bombs and missiles in the early hours of Thursday morning as Vladimir Putin announced an attack on Ukraine, claiming that his intention was to demilitarize the former Soviet Republic. The declaration came when the world had sat down to find a diplomatic solution at the United Nations Security Council meeting. The West was promised that the Russian president will be held accountable for his actions and has started to implement certain sanctions aimed to cripple the Russian economy. But are these sanctions enough? Our next report gets you the details.
Chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences.
U.S. President Joe Biden unveiled harsh new sanctions against Russia on Thursday after Moscow launched an all-out invasion of Ukraine, imposing measures to impede Russia's ability to do business in the global economy.
We've now sanctioned Russian banks that together hold around $1 trillion in assets. We've cut off Russia's largest bank, a bank that holds more than 1/3 of Russia's banking assets by itself, cut it off from the U.S. financial system. And today, we're also blocking 4 more major banks. That means every asset they have in America will be frozen.
Biden said the sanctions were designed to have a long-term impact on Russia and to minimize the impact on the United States and its allies. And he said Washington was prepared to do more.
This is going to take time, and we have to show resolve so he knows what's coming. And so the people of Russia know what he's brought on them. That's what this is all about.
His announcement represented the second major tranche of sanctions against Russia, and Biden warned personally sanctioning Russian President Vladimir Putin was still an option.
These powers will enable us.
Adding to the latest round of Western penalties, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson unveiled new measures targeting banks, members of Putin's inner circle, and the very wealthy who enjoy high-rolling London lifestyles to, quote, maximize the economic price Putin will pay, adding Putin will be condemned by history.
Now we see him for what he is, a blood-stained aggressor who believes in imperial conquest.
What wasn't part of Thursday's tranche of sanctions, cutting off Russia from SWIFT, the interbank messaging network that is the backbone of international finance.
The sanctions that we've proposed on all their banks have of equal consequence, maybe more consequence than SWIFT, number one. Number two, it is always an option, but right now that's not the position that the rest of Europe wishes to take.
Describing Thursday's onslaught as a dangerous moment for Europe, Biden said he authorized troops that have been placed on standby to deploy to Germany to defend NATO allies, stressing that Putin's actions have made him a pariah on the international stage.
Putin's aggression against Ukraine will end up costing Russia dearly, economically and strategically. We will make sure of that.
All right, so that is the stated intention of the Americans to impose financial cost on the Russians. But as we speak, the United States has said that it is not imposing any energy-related sanctions on Russia. With that being the case, the question, of course, is there enough of a financial deterrence on the part of the United States to push Russia back? And my colleague, Susan Tehrani, has been tracking the developments very closely for us from New York and has sent us this report. Listen in.
U.S. President Joe Biden said that the latest sanctions levied against Russia are meant to cripple the country's economy, military, and elites, a latest move to punish Russia for its incursion into Ukraine. The Treasury Department says that these latest actions target 80% of all banking assets in Russia and limit the country's access to the global financial system. However, they do stop short in disconnecting Russia from the SWIFT banking system, a move many analysts say would have dealt the heaviest blow to Moscow. U.S. President Joe Biden announcing these sanctions on Thursday said this about SWIFT: it's always an option, but right now that's not the position that the rest of Europe wishes to take. The president also raised eyebrows when he said that no one expected sanctions against Russia to work, contradicting his administration's previous position on Russia, saying that sanctions would be used as a deterrent measure against Russia to prevent it from invading Ukraine. The president also said that the United States will be sending 7,000 more service members to Germany, but also maintained once again that the U.S. military will not be fighting in Ukraine. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Now, after months of speculations, calculations and assessment and back-to-back diplomatic talks, Ukraine is under a full-scale Russian attack. So let's take you through the events as they happened with 5 striking videos that will sum up the situation. Firstly, the President of Russia delivered a speech announcing the beginning of a special military operation to demilitarize and also to denazify Ukraine. And immediately, minutes after that, missiles started to rain down on different Ukrainian cities. The military offensive began roughly at about 5 a.m. in the morning after Putin's televised speech ended. The Ukraine reported columns of troops, Russian troops, pouring across into its borders into eastern Chernihiv, Kharkiv and Luhansk regions. Now, the Russian troops entered the cities of Odessa and Mariupol in the south by the sea. In the latest, the troops also managed to reach the doorstep of the capital of the Ukrainian city. Russian choppers were seen hovering on the outskirts of Kiev. Now, the initial wave of strikes involved cruise missiles, artillery and also airstrikes. Striking military infrastructure and border positions, including air bases, was the Russian strategy. Russia claims that it has managed to destroy nearly about 70 military targets so far, including about 11 airfields. And gunfire rattled out near the main airport and sirens blared across multiple cities. The eyewitness videos show smoke billowing from the Ukrainian military airport in Chugiev. Reports say that the Ukrainian border guards were in fact firing back as the Russian troops managed to unleash artillery barrages as part of an attack backed by Belarus. And after hours of military operations, gunfire and shelling, this is the condition of Ukraine. Now, there were vehicles and other equipment that was seen burning at the Ukrainian military facility outside the eastern city of Mariupol. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has declared martial law after Russia targeted the country's military infrastructure. And Ukrainians were seen fleeing towards the border and crossing over into other neighboring nations, including the likes of Poland. Right after Russia began with its invasion, cars and trucks were seen waiting at the border checkpoints as people crossed Poland by foot, carrying their suitcases with them. A number of citizens also broke down on their journey towards the border. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.